Good afternoon, everybody. I want to welcome you to today's session. Hopefully you guys were all able to get logged in and set up your audio wizard. Remember, class begins promptly at 6 p.m. every Wednesday, and best practice is always logging in 5 minutes early to give you time to complete that setup wizard so you don't miss anything right there in the beginning. So as we prepare, I want to make sure that you are all ready to learn and interact with your classmates by eliminating any outside distractions. Make sure you have lowered your hand, unless of course you have a question, then feel free to raise it. And be sure to submit your Ms. Class summary by the due date for all of my virtual listeners out there. So I want to give you guys a welcome as well and make sure that you are turning that in. So just to make sure we do a quality check real quick, if you guys could give me a green check if in the top right corner it shows welcome, the same as what's on the slide. Perfect. And then can you guys hear me adequately, and do you see the record sign? Go ahead and give me a green check if both of those are right.
You're already in the parking lot.
Okay, wonderful. So let's go ahead and get started. As a reminder, make sure that you guys have turned off all distractions. It's time to focus on your learning. Make sure you are in that happy place and ready to learn. Personally, I like hanging out by the water. It's always a great place to go. So as we begin, I want you guys to think about the most enjoyable learning experience that you have had in the last little while. So maybe something that you experienced last month, a couple years ago, just something fairly recent. Give me a green check if you can think of an enjoyable learning experience. All right, perfect. So when you guys think about that, there are many different ways to deliver content, whether it be lecture, e-learning, blends of the two. What style do you prefer, if any of those? So either hop into the chat or just grab the mic and let me know, do you prefer lecture learning, e-learning, or a blended approach?
Hi, Jason. I actually prefer a blended approach because that way I can get a lot of the content done on my own time and be prepared for class. But I find that if I don't have time for discussion with other students, I don't remember it as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think I agree with that too. You may be wondering why I picked the pictures that I did for the slide, because the next question that I have is, does your style preference change based on what you're learning? For example, if I were teaching you how to make the perfect molten chocolate lava cake, or if I were teaching you how to parallel park a car, would the preference change? Would you prefer maybe more lecture, more e-learning, more blended, or is it the same? Again, grab the mic or just type into the chat.
I think oops, is that me? I think that I prefer blended learning, and especially in the case where I'm learning a skill, like making a cake or parking. My problem is just a lack of time to be able to actually attend a face-to-face class.
Yeah, time constraints can play a big part in that, definitely. And I think that's one of the benefits of having that blended approach, with the flexibility of allowing the student to do more of one or the other. Did you have one too as well, Leanne?
Yeah, for me, if you're going to teach me something like parallel parking, I've got to see it. So I would want to lecture. I would want you to be there showing me how to do it.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to learn things that are hands-on and, you're doing. Lecture is definitely a great way to go with that. Because you can watch a video about how to parallel park a car, but to your point, you may not get that same experience from it. So even in our small little class, we've got a couple of different opinions, and that's why it's important as the facilitator that you think about all of those things. For the virtual listeners out there, make sure you guys include this information in your summary, so I want to hear your thoughts. It should be under the heading, Most Enjoyable Learning, so make sure you clearly mark that out so I can see it. So now let's talk about what we're going to review today. So by the end of the lesson, I want you guys to have been able to demonstrate your ability to explain how the Community of Inquiry framework relates to instructional technology, explain how the Community of Inquiry framework relates to blended learning, and discuss how instructional technology and blended learning can improve training experience and make them more efficient. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive in. So we talk about learning technologies. So if you guys could, in the chat, just type out some type of learning technology that you're currently using in your classes to help facilitate instruction. And if the answer is none, that's okay too. Okay, yeah, the clickers, so you got that instant feedback. I love those. Oh yeah, the smart podium, so that way it kind of puts up there in front of them what you're doing in front of you. Is that right? Okay, yeah. That was one of the things that I always found interesting. At one point or another, they called them Elmos at one of the schools that I worked at. So I don't know why, but they did. As a student, what type of learning technologies do you guys do? And you can grab the mic or type in the chat for this one. Oh yes, the online versions of the textbooks. That's really nice. So you can access them anywhere. That has worked out well for my son a few times when he's forgotten his book. Okay. So for virtual learners, make sure you guys place this under, in your Miss Class summary, under instructional technology. So again, want to hear what you guys think about that. Another important part of the community of inquiry framework is blended learning. So we talked a little bit about this right at the beginning, right? I asked you which style do you prefer. And there are a lot of different ways to create blended learning. So you can have an example like we have shown here where it's exactly even, just as much online content as you do face-to-face. If you guys could, I'm going to switch the polling. Actually, I'll just leave it with the check marks. That's fine. Give me a green check if you yourself have experienced a blended learning approach that was maybe not exactly a 50-50 split. Okay, so it looks like both of you had. And what did the facilitator lean more heavily on? Was it face-to-face or was it the online portion? And this one you can just grab the mic or type. Either way is fine. Interesting. So again, even in our small class, it looks like we've got a little bit of both, more face-to-face, more online. And it really is incumbent upon the facilitator to try to mix it up based on the class and on the students. As you guys know, that makes a huge difference. So I have a quick video I want to show you guys, and it just talks about blended learning and kind of what it is and gives you a little bit of an example of where it may be put into play. And if you guys can't see that, I'm putting it in the text chat too.
Blended learning, or how to always stay 2 steps ahead. This is Mark, the Human Resource Manager of a big international bank. He has recently been assigned to lead a project orientated around increasing the motivation of company employees all over the world. Mark realizes that standard motivational seminars are too expensive and require too much time from the learners. Moreover, many employees are simply bored of them. After some time-consuming efforts to find the best solutions for his problem, Mark finally discovered blended learning. He found that blended learning is a mix of different learning environments, such as face-to-face, e-learning, and self-education. Mark has agreed to have a meeting with Swiss Management School, the company that specializes in it. During the meeting, Mark finds out that his company will save time and money as most of the education takes place online. Diverse learning materials make the learning process enjoyable, interesting, and varied. Mark, along with Swiss Management School, goes on to develop a number of tests, quizzes, and role plays alongside other materials in different languages. These become available to every employee through a specially designed learning platform. Online webinars take place weekly with a qualified trainer. Trainers were also able to physically visit learners once a month to assist with any concerns. By the time the project was finished, Mark found that the employees' motivation had increased by 40%. Teamwork was much smoother, and even economic indicators increased. The board of directors were astonished. They were, to start with, skeptical.
So give me a green check if you guys like that quick explanation. I thought they did a good job of kind of giving us the down and dirty of what blended is. Okay, good. Yeah, I agree. For our at-home listeners, I want you guys to go ahead and put some benefits that you think are related to blended learning and place it under the header, blended learning. That way we can easily identify it. So let's go ahead and move on. Now it is time for our case study. So I gave you guys kind of a quick intro into these two concepts, and you all have read your book, I'm sure, so you understand the ideas. So let's talk about this case study. So you have just been hired as the training manager of a local contact center for a large online retailer, and the director wants to reduce the time spent in new hire training from 4 weeks down to 3 weeks, while maintaining or improving the time to efficiency. That's really where they get to the point of being able to fully do their job without extra assistance for our new hire associates. The current training is a 4-week class full of lecture, about 80% of it, and in-system practice, about 10%, with other items sprinkled in. That kind of makes up the other 10%. So I want you guys to discuss amongst your group and go ahead and put it on the whiteboard. I've already placed this in there. You'll notice there's nowhere for you to type. So just overlay a white box so that way you guys can type, and then let me know what you think are some of the ways you could implement from the Community of Inquiry Framework to reduce the time in training, the amount of facilitation needed, and make a better experience for our new associates. So if you guys don't have any questions, go ahead and move into the room, and I will give you guys a little bit of time. I'll set a timer and then send you a reminder as well. All right, welcome back everybody. I have returned you back to the main room. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the case study that you guys did. Okay, so do either one of you guys want to share what you put down there? I see some great ideas.
So for me, I said maybe put some online case studies that the new associates can practice on, and also move your lectures all to online so that class time's not wasted for those.
Yeah, that's a great way to do that. I think that's going to be a big unlock for this scenario, is going to be getting that lecture where they can do it on their own.
I think also you can use Twitter for training new employees in a really good way. You create a channel where they can ask questions of the people who know the answers, or they can share information and kind of figure out things on their own.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to really integrate that social media channel into it, because let's be honest, everybody entering the workforce today is very socially engaged, so it's definitely a great way to kind of play upon that skill that they already have built. I love that. Good job, guys. So now let's go ahead and move on. So we've covered a lot of information today, and I think we've really come up with some great ways to improve our trainings and really improve the experience of our students. So the last thing that I'm going to have you guys do before we leave for the day is I'm going to have you, just as we did the last 2 weeks, enter breakout session 2, which in this one is titled Case Study Room 2, and talk with your group about one thing that you will change or do differently based on what you have learned today. So it can be in your own personal courses, in colleagues, and the information that you share with them. So I want you guys to just kind of discuss that just a little bit on your own. No reporting back. It really is just an open opportunity for discussion. For our virtual listeners, I'm going to be looking for you to do this at the end of your missed class summary. So this will be the last part. And don't forget to also complete the case study work and title that case study so I can find that easily. Are there any other questions before you guys go ahead and move to your room number 2 and share? Give me a green check if you're good to go. Okay, perfect. So make sure you guys are spending at least about 5 minutes in there, and if there are any other questions or you want to read some more, remember we have our book for this class is the E-Learning in the 21st Century, a Community of Inquiry Framework for Research and Practice by Garrison, and we are in the 3rd edition, so make sure you've got the right one. Other than that, I wish you all a great day and enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you guys next time.